to the Now and After Cancer program
with the Olive Branch of Hope. And I'm Shireen Spencer.
And I'm Patricia Russell. And this afternoon, Shireen, we are just delighted to have a special guest with us. I say special because she's a psychotherapist.
Right. But she's not special in the sense that there's something wrong with her. She's special because we are looking forward to talking to her.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, when you've had cancer, you need all kinds of help.
That's right. And you really need all kinds of help when it comes to your emotions and your feelings and what it is you're navigating with how you feel. And so that's why we have her here.
Yeah.
This is Linda Suresni.
Yeah.
And, you know, her bio is really long, so I'm going to have to read it because I don't want to get anything wrong with it. Linda Suresni is a seasoned registered psychotherapist with over 25 years of experience supporting individuals, couples, and families. Her background includes roles in government and the development of policy, communications, and training programs on mental health, which is why we're having the conversation, wellness, which is why we're having the conversation, and violence against women. And this can happen even when we have cancer, right?
Absolutely.
She is interested in the mental health impact of bias based on gender and sexuality, systemic racism, which is why we're having this conversation, and intimate partner violence and women's health issues. She holds an undergraduate degree from Carleton University, a master's degree from Dalhousie University, and she continues her training in clinical therapy. She is passionate about helping people build resilience and overcome challenges and find joy in their lives. And although the Olive Branch of Hope is an organization that really helps women of color and Black women that are going through this journey, one thing that we have in common,
we women.
And
she has also had a journey on cancer, which I find is going to be, it's just going to feed into the fascination of our conversation. Linda, welcome to the program. We're so glad you're here. We are stunned that you have so much in common with us. But I want to leave that. I'm going to open up with that with the first conversation, with the first question, to say we're not the only ones that have experienced breast cancer. Apparently, you have a little bit of insight in that too. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me here. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm uniquely situated in that I, one, as a psychotherapist, come with the training and the skills to help people through whatever adversity issues, including cancer, that they've encountered. And then I've been through that journey myself and now are enough years beyond it. It's about 9 years ago that I can, and many years before, like once I did my own healing, can bring that to sessions as appropriate. Sometimes I think when people are going through cancer, they find that helpful to know that I've gone through that, and also it just informs the way that I work. And so I have that added layer of experience to know how to support and what it's like, at least from my experience. As you know, as we all know, everyone handles it differently. But certainly, yeah, it was a very life-changing, you know, in that moment experience to find that out and to support my daughters at the time, who were 11 and 15, and to figure out, you know, how to do this, use my own skills as best I could, and be the patient. And then, you know, and then it's lovely to be here now, many years later, being able to talk about it and also know that my experience helps shape other people's healing as well.
I think that it's just such a unique position to be in, even as we talk about now and after, to be someone who had to follow your own advice and practice it and see if it works, or learn new ones and new skills. So you're coming with experience, but you're also coming with learning. So let's go to the first question. And that question is, what would you say is the cycle of feelings that is common to anybody with a diagnosis of cancer or a terrible illness? And how does one work through each one as a stage, recognizing this is a stage, I have to go through this. This is a stage, I have to go through this. Talk to us about the normal cycle and the order that comes in. And
if there is a normal.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think that it's important for women to know that we all handle this differently, and we all have different emotions, and we all go through the emotions at different stages, and it is cyclical. So, I mean, because I don't want people to to hear this and think, oh, well, I didn't experience that, so there's something not normal, or or I'm not, I didn't feel surprised or sad. So I think that it's really important that we all know that our own journey is very unique to ourselves. And having said that, I mean, I draw on the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who she developed this cycle of grief.
Yes.
And I really think that grief cycle is very much the process that we go through when we're diagnosed with a major illness and with cancer. So I think we can call it both that grief cycle, and then we can name it of the cycle of dealing with cancer. So I think that the stages generally, I think they fit. Like they fit for me, certainly in my own experience, but definitely I can't think of almost any client that I've worked with who's gone through cancer who this wouldn't, these cycles wouldn't and feelings wouldn't fit. So it's denial, anger, bargaining, and then sadness, depression, and acceptance.
Yeah.
So I think that each of those stages, the other thing about what we know about these cycles is that we cycle in and out. So we might start with denial and, and then go to anger. And then later in this, as when you go back and you realize, oh, I need more surgery, right? That we can start cycling through those feelings as well.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because it makes me feel normal.
Normal, and the thing that we wish wasn't normal for a lot of women.
Right.
Yeah, because I think we went through the cycle of all of those emotions, and I think it's important for people to know that what you're experiencing, the emotions that you're experiencing, are real. They're validated to you, and it's okay. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're normal, like within the realm of a very, abnormal, difficult situation.
Right.
And yeah, I think that validation piece is so important, that we speak, that we listen to our emotions, that we share our emotions as much as possible. Because I think for some of us, and especially as women, we're kind of conditioned to maybe keep that in, to shut it down, to not want to, to think about others, not thinking about how we're feeling the things, or just go, into take care of things mode. And I think it's important that we acknowledge our feelings, that we validate internally for ourselves, that we have people around us, a support network that also validates how we're feeling and our situation, and that we then give ourselves permission to go through each of those stages and all of the feelings. Because I mean, my personal belief is that when you shove things down, it comes out sideways. Right. And that does make us sick when we're trying to block emotions that are very real and normal.
I almost want you to say it again for the people in the back, because Black women and women of color have traditionally, culturally, been taught to keep it close. What happens at home stays at home. So you keep those emotions quiet. So I think it's very powerful. I believe it's very powerful. It's powerful for you to say that, and for us to hear that, and to be reminded of that, to experience the emotions.
Yes, I'm happy to say that again.
We'll say it again then.
Yes.
And then I'll ask my question.
I think that we need to validate, share our feelings, give ourselves permission to share our feelings widely, like with close people that we trust, with our health professionals, with, in these formats, so that our story is heard, and to validate it for ourselves. Because if we keep the emotions inside, I think they come out sideways, and they also can make us sick. So I think it's very empowering, and I know it's hard. And certainly in my years of practice with women of color and Black women, I hear this over and over again. Like, I have to take care of everyone else. I don't have time for this. I'm not going to, no one's listening to my feelings. When I was a kid, I mean, which is, in some ways universal, but there's also another added piece that's very hard to penetrate, to give real permission when you've lived your life like in a way where you felt like, I'm not going to do this because I'm told not to. And because I have way too many extended family members, people who are looking to me to be okay, and to not, and to, to have that poker face. So,
I mean, Patricia's brought it up in terms of how we as Black women or women of color are either conditioned to, taught to, or just from experience, there isn't another way. We are to be strong. And then you've brought up in the fact of your clients and how it is that you've dealt with that. And I know that off camera, you and I have had the conversation. You wanted to know, can I talk about my experience? Because I am a white woman, but I'm talking to the experience of Black women. So my question to you is, with the fact that we go through these cycles, and it doesn't matter in color, we're all going to go through the cycles. How can you help a Black woman or a woman of color based on how you've helped any others in your practice understand this is the cycle, you can still stay strong while still acknowledging the cycle that you have to go through? What would you do to speak to that?
Yeah, I think it's about validating that experience and how hard it is to do that, and normalizing that as being scary, difficult, challenging, feels like completely outside of your experience. And then also speaking, and sometimes I'll name that, like from my own privilege around like self-advocacy or advocating with a doctor, which I know is really difficult. And women will say like, I don't want to come off as being I mean, this is what an angry Black woman. And I'm
Yes,
like, I get it.
exactly.
And I totally like, and I hear you. And yet I'm going to talk from my position of privilege that if you don't advocate for yourself with, within the medical system or with your family in terms of what you need, no one's hearing you. So let's talk about how to do that, how to set clear boundaries, how to also do it so it comes off as firm, but also not like, out of over the top angry, because sometimes that is a phase we need to go through till we get more in the middle of being able to articulate our irritation. And also to normalize anger. It's okay to feel angry.
Is it?
Yes, it is okay. And then what I say is it's about how we do it though. Like we can do it, we can be angry and communicate it in healthy, productive ways, or we can be angry and communicate it in ways that shut down the support that we need.
Can you give us an example of that? How would somebody who's just been diagnosed, who's really angry and is trying to find a way, wants to unpack it, just maybe a couple of examples how to unpack that anger? Because I think it's something that is common as one of the emotions that takes place in our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also about validating and owning it. So, noting, let's say if you have a family member coming to you and saying, okay, like, I know you're going through a hard time, but like, you're telling us what to do and you're screaming about the dishes needing to be done, or like the small things that, that feel big in that moment because they're the things that we can control. I mean, I think then what we would work on is, okay, so how do you communicate the things that you need and do it in a way that's not yelling, that's coming out of care, and also that you tell people, like, I'm going through a hard time, and come and take responsibility. I'm sorry that I just erupted. I know it's not really about the dishes. It's that I'm terrified because I'm going tomorrow to the oncologist and I'm waiting for test results, right? So that we're owning our experience. And I think that's the part that historically is really hard for us to do as women. And then as well for women of color and for Black women, there's an added level of, I really have to take care of everyone else and I don't have time to take care of myself. And so I think that that would be an example that I would give. And also within the healthcare system, I mean, we know the research is showing that Black women and women of color are getting, they don't get in to see doctors and expedited, as quickly as white women. The research has been showing that. So I think, how, again, it comes from privilege to be able to say, someone and you have them expedite, or you call your doctor and you hound them, or you speak loudly at your appointment and say, like, I'm waiting, and, and you do that. And I think that fear of presenting in that way, I understand where that comes from. I think that I would talk, again, let's role play then how you might call the doctor's office and tell them your frustration so that you continue to have the relationship with the doctor, but also that you're advocating for yourself, or you get an advocate within your family or a family member or friend or someone, if not within your family to help you with that.
That's good.
Right?
I think what I'm hearing is persevere. Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
I think I'm also hearing her say, you know what, know your voice and let it be heard.
Yes.
Because she's talking about the feelings that we all feel, whether we are white or whether we are Black women. And it's just that, as a white person, you can express yourself, you can hound the doctor, and it's not seen that way. I think it's that recognition that we're doing the same thing. It's just being accepted and received differently. Right. So you're saying to us, go ahead and do the same thing.
Yes. Take up your power in your space.
Yeah. Linda, I feel like we are just cutting the surface and we're almost time to wrap up.
We've got about 4 more minutes.
We have a few more minutes. But I feel like this is such a powerful conversation, and I'm so glad that you're here to have it with us. I think,
Yeah.
Shireen, you had another question.
Well, you've talked about the fact that the cycle is normal and common. What are some practical things to help people to face their feelings?
Yeah.
And then work through them. So
Mhm.
you've worked through it, we've worked through it. What has been practical and what works?
Okay, so I mean, really, we could speak for hours on this, but in like, 4 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the things we talked about, so sharing your feelings, validate, having a support network in place, like people who really have your back and who you really can, you can speak and be open to. I think having a medical team in place that you trust is key.
Yes.
So, I mean, I often hear people say, I don't know, I don't trust the recommendations. I think that's key. And I think it's also okay to ask if you're not comfortable with the specialist that you're seeing,
Yes.
to see if it's possible to get switched.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like if it is like not a good fit and you don't feel like you're being heard or you're being rushed, I mean, I think that's key. And then also to lean on your family doctor.
Right.
Because I think that in my own experience, there were pieces of advice that my family doctor gave me that like my incredible specialist team, like they don't see people. Like I remember one thing that my doctor told me about, about reconstruction, that because she sees people like 20, 30 years later, that was just very helpful. And it was like, wow, that was one of the singular most helpful pieces of advice that that I don't think I would have got necessarily from the surgeon.
Right.
So unless I had known to ask, and I wouldn't have. So I think that running things by your family doctor as well, a lot of people just don't see their family doctor for a while.
Right.
That is a key person. It's the person that's known you for a long time and that can really support you, and you can bounce ideas off and can kind of say, yes, I agree with the plan that's in place, like, and talk you off that, really
Off the
scared,
ledge.
off that really scared place. So I'd say that. And I think also a key piece is to do a lot of like learn self-soothing skills and to use them. Mindfulness, meditation. I mean, you said, I have the added experience of doing the things that I did myself. And I know also when you're in that acute phase and in that, really very terrified place of first being diagnosed with cancer, it's hard, even though you know that you need to do certain things, it's hard to remember that you need to do them. And so like that's my best advice now, is just like, these are the things you will say that you don't have time or you don't have the patience, but really do it. So movement, exercise, like even if it's not what you normally did, like whatever it is, the things that used to be healing or when you were a kid that you did, to do those skills and to work with a clinician. There's lots of free and for pay psychologists, psychotherapists, and other programs as well that help people and support people going through cancer, as your program is. And there's, and the hospitals tend to have those programs as well, a social worker. So just, find ways. One thing I often say too, take mini vacations. So it could be taking a break, having a bath, going for a walk, or like getting away to a beach or go for a walk, like just ways that you can in each day find a moment of quiet, a moment of checking in, a moment of checking in with yourself.
And even when you've passed through the journey, remember these things. Because I apply those things even now. I have 2 words to say to you. Thank you.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
And thank both of you. Appreciate being here.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for giving us tools, for giving us supports. I feel like there might be another part 2 to this, but we'll see. But Shireen, this was good.
Yeah, great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Now and After Cancer program.